In this video, I'm going to give you a complete guide on how to make your Sur-Ron or TALARIA completely road legal. And the beauty is you barely have to do anything to the bike to achieve this. So if you're like me and you've got a Sur-Ron or TALARIA and you love going out riding, but every time you leave the house you're terrified that the police are going to stop you, they're going to seize your bike, take it away, have it crushed, potentially points on your license, then this video is for you. I'm going to go through a complete step-by-step guide on how you legally road register your bike. Now I'm sure you've heard and been told by a bunch of people that this is not possible, and the only way you can achieve it is buying the L1E. So that means it comes with the indicators, the lights and all the things appropriate for riding on the road. But I've got the paperwork here to prove otherwise. So step one, you are going to need a NOVA number. So NOVA stands for Notification of Vehicle Arrival. What this basically means is it's a number that proves that the duty has been paid of when the bike entered the country. So the way to obtain this number is to contact the HMRC by going onto the HMRC website and filling out the NOVA acquisition form. Now this bit is really easy. It's basically going to ask you who you are, so your details, and the bike that you are trying to get the NOVA number for. So fill the form out, and you're also going to want to put a cover letter in there, basically explaining exactly what you're trying to do. So for me personally, I wrote the cover letter just explaining that I bought my Sur-Ron secondhand from Facebook Marketplace, and previous to me there was another 3 owners. So I have no original paperwork for this bike, so I cannot prove that the duty has been paid when it entered the country. Just be as honest as you possibly can and tell the story of how you obtained the bike. The other things you're going to want to put in the cover letter as well are the VIN number. That can be found on the head tube of the bike. Very simple to find. Now, be prepared for this to be rejected. It became quite apparent after a little bit of back and forth through emails with HMRC that they have absolutely no idea how to process these bikes. For example, they kept coming back to me asking me for the bill of sale or telling me to go back to the person I bought this from Facebook Marketplace for them to register the bike. There's a bit of to and fro with emails just explaining that I just cannot obtain any paperwork. I have no idea of the origin of the bike, when it first came into the country, who bought it and who it was bought from. They then come back to me and told me that any bike under 7 kilowatts doesn't actually require a NOVA number. I then went back to them and said, can I have this in complete black and white, that everything I've told you confirms that I don't need the NOVA number because I don't want to put this forward to the DVLA and have it rejected. They then come back to me again and said, we have absolutely no idea now, you're going to have to phone DVLA yourself and find out. So I made the phone call to DVLA and they confirmed that actually, yes, it does require a NOVA number. I then had to go back to HMRC explaining exactly what DVLA had told me, and eventually I got the NOVA number. This whole process from just obtaining the NOVA number took me about 3 weeks, so do be prepared. This is not a quick process, but be persistent and you will get that number. So now you've got your NOVA number, the next thing to do is register the bike with the DVLAs. The way you do this is by filling out a form called the V55/5. So what I'll do now is very quickly run through every section that you need to fill out and what you need to put in those sections. So, section 1, registration number, you're not going to have this yet, so you can leave that blank. Section 2, tax class, we're going to put bicycle. Section 3 is for your tax, so whether you want to tax this for 6 or 12 months. Section 4, you need to tick the box where it says registration fee, tax payable, and the amount is going to be £25. Now, I'll run through the tax in a minute because this is not actually correct. I don't know why you have to do this, it's such a backward system. But you pay the tax and then you get it refunded to you, but I'll explain that in a second. Section 5, you want to put your manufacturer, so mine would be a Sur-Ron. Section 6, the make, I've got a light B, and section 7, it's the model X, so I'll just put an X. Section 8, we're going to put for the type of body and vehicle is a motorcycle. Section 9 will be 2-wheel. Section 10, the colour of your bike, so mine's black. And then section 11, the type approval number category. So what you want to put in here is exempt enduro. That's very important. So exempt enduro. We can then basically skip out a load of the next section. So go down to section 18. Section 18, my Sur-Ron is max net power output of 6 kilowatts. The rest of that form from there on down, we do not have to fill out. So going back up to the top of the form on the right hand side, the state of the country which the vehicle was purchased from is England. And then right or left hand drive, I've put down right hand drive because we're in the UK. Section 30, date from which you'd like the tax to run, pop in the date that's suitable for you. Section 31, the type of fuel, pop in there electric. Section 32, you're going to put in your VIN number, which is found on the head tube of the bike. And then we can jump down to section 25, the year of manufacture. So with the year of manufacture, this will be printed on your motor. You can also determine the year of manufacture from your VIN number. So basically the 10th character of the VIN will be a letter. Mine is N. So the letter N equates to the year 2022. If you got the letter P, it would be a 2023. And if you got the letter R, it would be 2024 and so on. So that's the first part of the form. If you go to the next section, we're going to jump to section 70. So your name and address. So your title, your name, your address, your postcode, your date of birth, which is optional. Then you're going to want to pop in your phone number and your email address. And then section 72, is the vehicle exempt from type approval? If so, please indicate the full reason of exemption. What you need to write in here is because the vehicle is for enduro use only. Again, that's really important to put in there. Jump down to section 73. How many miles has your vehicle done? They may ask for this, so don't lie about it. Whatever your odometer says, pop that down. And I'll explain exactly why in a second. And then the very last bit, just go down to the signature, sign and date. That is that form done. Very simple, very straightforward, but there are a couple of little bits in there, like I said, that are quite important. So once you've filled that form out, you're also going to want to add a couple of other bits in when you send this off. So you're going to need a copy of your driving license or passport, so just take a photocopy of it and pop that in the envelope. You're also going to want a utility bill with your address on it just to prove it's actually you. And you're also going to want to put a cover letter in with this as well. Again, explaining exactly what you're trying to do. The first thing I wrote about was just explaining that I have no certification of newness for my bike. What that basically means is that I may not get an age-related plate. They may have to put this on a Q plate, which to me, I'm not too bothered about. It's a 2022 bike. It's not brand spanking new. I'm not going to go around flash around. I couldn't really care less what's on that number plate as long as I can ride this thing on the road. So I basically explained that I cannot prove any documentation, so I'm happy for this to go onto a Q plate. In the cover letter, also I added in the Nova number and also added a little statement just saying if there's any more information they required, then please do contact me. The next thing you're going to need to put in the envelope to send off to them is a registration fee. That's £55. And you also need to put in £25 for your tax. Now, again, like I was saying about HMRC, the DVLA, again, I do not think really know how to process these bikes. They can clearly see that from all the documentation, this is an electric bike and the electric bikes are exempt from tax, but still they ask you for £25 for the tax, which then gets refunded to you once you receive the V5. I have no idea why they do this. The other thing to bear in mind is you'll have to send them a cheque or a postal order. If you're like me, we live in 2025, I cannot understand why there is not an online system to be able to pay this. It's so archaic, but has to be done. I don't own a checkbook. I had to go to the post office then to get a postal order, make it out to the DVLA, pop that in the envelope, ready to go. And that's basically it. Send it off to the DVLA and then it's a waiting game. Now, a few people that I've spoke to have gone through absolutely fine, no problems whatsoever, but be prepared for this to be rejected. So I received a letter after about 4 weeks saying that they had rejected the application. And the reason they rejected it was basically because I needed to prove what year this was manufactured. And the way they ask you to prove that is going back to the supplier. Now, I contacted Sur-Ron. They told me point blank there was absolutely no way that I'd be able to register this on the road. So they just didn't want to help me out at all. But the proof of manufacture needs to come from a reliable source. So the way that I achieved this was I approached a local dealership that sells Sur-Rons brand new and got them to write me an email explaining that the VIN number, that 10th character, relates to the year of manufacture, and also the fact that on the motor, the date of manufacture is printed on that as well. Now, if you have upgraded the motor, this may be something to bear in mind. I don't know how you're going to get around that, but you do have the backup of the VIN. So the particular dealer that I went to was more than happy just to write me a quick email just explaining that that 10th character relates to the year of manufacture, also it's printed on the motor, and then I sent that back to the DVLA. It then got rejected yet again because they wanted photographic evidence of the bike. So I had to take photos of the front, the back, both sides. I had to take a photo of the VIN from the head tube. I also had to take photos of the motor, and I also had to take photos of the imprint on the motor proving the year of manufacture. So took the photos, sent it all back to them. Again, this all has to be done by post. I cannot believe that we lived in this day and age and there is not an online portal for this sort of thing. Everything has to be done by post, which is such a slow process. But eventually I finally received the V5 document. So we're nearly there. We've got the Nova number, we've got the full registration and the V5 document. So the next thing we need to go ahead and do is get a registration plate for the bike. So this is really easy to do. You can go down to Halfords, you can get it online. It costs about £20 for a plate. All you need to do is provide some ID and a V5 document. Job done, nice and simple. We just need to then mount that onto the bike. Once we've got the registration plate all fitted, the next thing we need to do is go ahead and get an MOT. Now this is what I was saying earlier in the video, that you do not really have to do anything to your bike to get this road legal. Now I have done a previous video on this, but basically what we're going to do is go ahead and get ourselves a daytime MOT. And what does that mean? Well, exactly what it says on the tin. We can ride the bike during daylight hours, dawn till dusk. And in getting that daylight MOT, basically we don't have to put any lights on the bike, we don't need brake lights, we don't need indicators, mirrors, nothing. The only things you're going to need to pass that MOT is a working horn, road legal tyres, a speedo and a number plate. That is it. And most of those things actually come as stock on the Sur-Ron, obviously apart from the registration plate. So the MOT roughly cost about £29. And because there is barely anything to test on these bikes for an MOT, because it has nothing on it, you're in and out in 20 minutes. Now the last couple of little bits that you are going to need to do to legally ride this on the road is have the appropriate license. Now I've been driving for over 20 years, but to drive one of these I still need to do a CBT, which blows my mind. I cannot believe I've got that much driving experience, but I still need to get a CBT to ride what is technically a moped. But it is what it is, and once you've completed the CBT, that lasts you 2 years. So you've got 2 years worth of riding before you need to do it. Or you can go ahead and do your bike license, and then it's job done. You can ride it forevermore. Now the last thing we are going to need to ride this thing legally on the road is insurance. I've spoke to different people online, on Instagram, on YouTube, saying that it's a complete waste of time. No one can insure them, and if you do get insurance, that you're looking around £1,500 to £2,000. I can confirm that for me personally, this is not true. Obviously, it's going to depend on how long you had your license for, how many no claims you've got, where you live, and where the bike is stored. So again, talking from experience, you can expect to pay somewhere between £200 and £400 to insure a Sur-Ron Light B. That also includes some of the upgrades as well, like the controller and battery. I do still think this is an obscene amount of money for essentially a moped, but I kind of see it from the insurance point of view that actually these are extremely attractive to thieves, the reputation they've got with people misusing them, and they are actually very easy to steal. So there we are. In a nutshell, that is exactly how you take your off-road Sur-Ron or TALARIA and make it road legal. Now don't get me wrong, this is not a quick process, but I do believe that's partially because it was trial and error for me. I was completely guessing my way through this. I wasn't given the right authorities the correct information first time round. They kept asking for more and more and more. But hopefully with this guide, it will make the process so much quicker if you are trying to do this, because you're going to know the answers before they ask the questions. In total, from starting the process to me actually getting to ride on the road took me about 4 months, which again, in this day and age, blows my mind that anything should really take that long. And I think that's partially because a lot of the people involved, such as HMRC and the DVLA, just do not know how to process these bikes. And if you own a Sur-Ron or TALARIA, you know how much pressure you get from Karens and media online saying, oh, you shouldn't be riding around on these illegal bikes, it should be registered. If it was that easy, I think we would all be doing it, but it's not a simple or easy process, but it can be done. What they really need to do is just streamline the whole process, put it online, make it as quick as it possibly can. So if you are looking to do this, hopefully this video has helped you through the process and made it a little bit quicker for you. So if you've got any other questions, go ahead and drop it in the comments or send me a message on Instagram. I'll put it up on the screen now for you. And if you've liked this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. It massively helps the channel. And if you haven't done already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I've got loads of content now coming with the off-road Sur-Ron and now the road legal Sur-Ron. But as always, thank you ever so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take it easy.